What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be covering a topic that gets asked quite often, and that is basically how to secure additional tie down points, or basically install points on the SeaDoo where you can tie things to, because in the factory setup there's really not too much you can use to tie onto. You have your rear cleat, and then you also have your front cleats here that you can use, but they're not very easy to use. If you have a carabiner, you can't get it in there. These things are they're not really easily accessible on the water. If you're tying it from outside, it's not too bad, but from the side you can see there's really not much you can do to tie down. So if you're out on the water and you tie up to a friend, or you go to a dock, there's not much you can do to tie your ski to anything. So that's where this kit comes in handy. This is the WavesRX soft loop kit, and you can see they give you various sizes of loops. We have small ones, large ones, we have double open-ended ones, and then they also give you some washers to use. So you'll see I'm going to find a few different spots on here to tie down to, but you can use these washers to kind of pinch down and get this a really nice tight fit. That way you don't have to worry about tearing any of the fabric on here. But basically what I'm going to do is go through a few different spots so that you can install these things, just to get additional functionality out of them. The opportunities are basically limitless. You can tie into different bolts kind of all over the place up here. If you wanted to use strapping for, like in this case I have my dock lines, but they're kind of just tossed in here, so it's kind of just chaotic. If I'm out riding all day, this stuff just kind of gets bounced around and it's hard to get to, but with the soft loops I can kind of tie them to anywhere in here, so that they're very easy to get to, and I'll show you what that looks like. But you can see from outside here, and we also have the front tie down, but obviously you're not getting to that easily on the water. And then we also have some easily accessible bolts up here as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you a few different spots you can install these. Now, one of my friends that a ski I worked on had these mounted right here, and I thought that was a fantastic idea, because realistically these bolts are kind of just useless. They're holding down your engine access cover, but other than that they serve no purpose. So you might as well take advantage of that and use these. And of course you can put these anywhere you want, but one of the most common things I've seen is to mount these just under these rear T30 bolts, and then you can very easily use a carabiner on there. You can use a paracord cargo net to keep things secure back here, and I've also seen people use the soft loop and your rear link kit to strap down a cooler. So if you don't want to use the SeaDoo cooler, or if you have a cooler that you like, you can use this to use like a paracord or a bungee, basically just to keep that cooler in place. So I'm going to go through and find a few different spots to mount these things, and I'll show you what I come up with. Alright guys, just like I said, the first loop I'm going to use is this small size one, and I'm going to put it right here. Fred, if you were watching this video, this was your idea, and it is an awesome idea. So all we need to do is just go ahead and remove that T30. I'm going to put a washer on the nut here just to kind of protect the loop. We'll put this in just like that, tighten this down, and just like that we have a nice soft loop installed for rear tie downs. The rear soft loop is installed, and basically what this is for is when we're out riding, we like to kind of bumper up next to each other, and generally we'll just have a kind of line attached to the front around the steering wheel. But now I can very easily loop in my carabiner for the dock line, and there we go, nice strong line to keep the skis tied together. The next thing I want to do is mount two soft loops just here under the lid on the ST3 holes. There's existing screw holes, so I'm just going to use two stainless screws to pierce through there, and essentially I'm just going to have this mounted there and one on the other side, and that's going to be for my dock lines. Now these dock lines always kind of get buried down here, and when I'm coming in the dock, it's just I always have to kind of dig around to find things, especially if I have storage and stuff like that up here after being out on the water all day. So I'm going to have the dock lines secured here. That way I can very easily just kind of unclip and get it ready for the dock. So I'll show you how I screw these in, but same thing, I'm just going to use the stainless screw. You can use anything as long as it matches the depth for each one of these screw points, and we'll get this zipped on and I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, there we go. They're installed, and now you can see I have my anchor line easily clips in just like that. And now it's ready to go. So I can just kind of let this dangle in there, and it doesn't matter what I have in the storage bin. I can always get to these super easy, and of course they're on there nice and tight. The loops are super strong. So that's good to go. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Alright, this next one I'm actually going to install up here, and I'm going to use the orange just because it looks more utility. I kind of like the way it looks up here. And the reason I'm putting a loop here is because I tend to ride with my GoPro or my Insta1 360 or Insta 360, whatever it is. And there's not really a good spot to kind of tie it down just in case the suction cup mount fails. So I always just end up holding the line. But with this right here, I can loop it around on this loop, and the mount goes right here. If the suction cup fails or breaks off when I'm riding, it won't matter. It's just going to still be attached to this. So I'm just going to pull this screw out here. I'll use the washer again. We'll zip that down and I'll show you what it looks like. And there you have it. Super convenient tie down point. Awesome, nice and strong. It's not going to go anywhere. So now when I have my GoPro recording, if the suction cup fails, it doesn't matter. It'll still be attached to this. I have one of those safety lines on there, so we're good to go up here. And the next spot is going to be on the GTR/GTI hull. Don't mind that, that's just some extra wax. But those of you that have this hull know that when you go to dock, these cleats are essentially useless, because if you have a carabiner, you can't really get it to lock in. It's an awkward setup that it never locks. It's a very odd setup. So what I'm going to do is take one of the soft loops, wrap it around, and I'll get the carabiner locked into both sides. That way we can actually use it as something to tie a dock line to, and I'll show you what that looks like. So all we're going to do is go ahead, feed this around, loop it. Now I'm going to take the carabiner, attach it to one side, attach it to the other, and now we have an actual spot that we can use to mount a dock line to. So let's see, I'm going to take my other dock line here, and now you can see we can just quickly, and there we go, we're dockable. Or we could tie to another ski, which is usually what I'm out there doing, but either way it makes it so much easier. Just click in, lock in. There's no need to fuss with tying around a handlebar or anything like that. Super easy. And the next spot is going to be for the rear cleat, or tied down on the ST3 holes. Obviously on the GTI/GTR it's just a standard loop ring, so it's very easy to use. But on the ST3s, again, it's this thick plastic that you can't get a carabiner around. Maybe if you have a larger one it'll work perfectly fine, but I'm going to use this loop here, and I'll put the camera down to record it, but we're just going to use this instead, so I can pull this nice and tight and use this instead of trying to get a carabiner around here. Now you may be asking, what am I using a line back here for? I don't tow anybody. I'm not doing any water sports or anything, but we do tend to anchor out at islands all the time. I do have the WavesRX spike anchor, which I kind of just ram into the sand, 3 feet below water or whatever, just so I don't have to beach the SeaDoo. And there's only so many spots you can tie down to. Obviously you can use the rear tie downs, but most of the time I tend to just use this guy here. That way I don't have to worry about chipping the acrylic or anything like that. So I'm going to loop this around and I'll show you what that looks like. This will take 15 seconds. If not, we just pass that through, loop it around itself, pull it nice and tight, and there we go. So now we have a nice loop that we can put a carabiner around, or in my case I have the spike anchor, which has one built in, so I can easily get that on and off without any problems. Of course this will not be in the way of the jet pump or anything, so there's nothing we need to worry about there, but it's a very tight and strong strap that I can use without any worry. And that pretty much sums it up. So that's all I'm going to be putting on my ski. I have 3 more here. I'm going to be doing the same rear deck mount on my GTR here, just so we have additional spots to tie up to. you know, like I said, this kit's perfect for those people that are trying to find additional spots to tie down skis or tie into other ones, or even just looking for a way to kind of secure cargo on the rear, or, you know, like I said, even secure a GoPro on the front of the ski. My riding style is mostly just kind of cruising around on the river or around the ocean. We tend to hit up a lot of islands, or we'll have multiple skis tied up to each other out in the water to just kind of hang out. And it's always been a pain point trying to find spots to tie down. We usually just kind of loop around the steering wheel or put a loop around the rear, you know, the passenger grip here, but you know, it's only good to an extent, and these soft loops are an answer to that problem. They give you so many more points to tie down to without damaging any of the plastics. Obviously, if you were trying to put a carabiner around this, the metal contact is just going to get it all scuffed up. So these guys make it super easy to do so, and they are incredibly cheap. You can get these on Amazon. I'll post a link in the description, but as you can see, it comes with a range of loop options here, including your washers, just to make sure that they are not going to tear on you. So very awesome stuff to use. I can't believe I've had jet skis for, you know, 6, 7, 8 years now, and I've never considered even using anything like this. So Fred, if you are watching this, thank you for pointing these out. I'm glad you did, because they certainly make things a lot easier. If you guys have any questions about these, feel free to leave a comment and I will answer you. Other than that, that's pretty much it for this one.